Hey there, my friend. Welcome back to another edition of Cowboys News TV. And let me tell you, things are heating up fast across the NFL. Free agency has officially kicked off. And while some teams are moving like sharks in the water, our Dallas Cowboys seem to be standing still. You've probably seen it already. One move after another from rival teams, signing big names, strengthening their rosters, pushing for dominance next season. And yet, when we look at Dallas, the headlines feel more like a list of what we've lost instead of what we've gained. The truth is, the Cowboys have already seen some key veterans walk away. Players who gave their all, who knew the system, and who could have still contributed, gone. And to make things worse, a few of them ended up signing with NFC East rivals. That one stings, doesn't it? And I know what you're thinking. Where's the urgency? Where's the aggression? Every offseason, we hope this front office will finally act like a team that wants to win now. But here we are again, watching the market pass us by. Now, to be fair, there was one spark of hope, the signing of Javonte Williams. A promising addition, no doubt, and he's shown flashes of real talent in Denver. But let's be honest with each other. Can we really count on him to carry the run game? He's coming off injuries, and even though the potential is there, it still feels like a gamble more than a sure thing. Let me bring you into this. I want to hear from you down in the comments. Do you believe Javonte Williams is the running back the Cowboys truly needed? Or do you think we still have a major gap in that position? Go ahead, drop your answer below. And while you're at it, what grade would you give the Cowboys' start to free agency so far? All right, but if you think that's frustrating, wait until we talk about what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. Let's get into that next. All right, let's talk defense. Specifically, the rising star that has everyone in Cowboys Nation buzzing, Daron Bland. Now listen, I know you've seen what Bland did last season. The guy was a turnover machine, a playmaker in every sense of the word. But here's the thing. If the Cowboys want to keep him around long term, it's going to cost a lot more than it would have just a few months ago. Why? Because the market just exploded. Cornerbacks like Carlton Davis, Byron Murphy, and J.C. Horn just signed new contracts averaging $22.3 million per year. You heard that? Right over $22 million. And that, my friend, has officially changed the game. Because if that's what those guys are getting, you can bet Daron Bland's agent is licking his chops right now. And honestly, it's hard to argue against it. Bland's production speaks for itself. Pick sixes, clutch moments, tight coverage. He's not just some rotational piece. He's become one of the key pillars of this defense. Losing him would be a huge blow, and the Cowboys know it. But here's where the concern kicks in. How often have we seen this team hesitate when it comes time to pay their own talent? How many times have we watched elite players walk because the front office decided to pinch pennies? It's a pattern, and it's one that could come back to haunt us again if they don't move fast. You and I both know how rare it is to find a young defensive back who delivers at this level. So let me ask you directly, would you pay more than $22 million per year to keep Daron Bland in Dallas? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's start a vote right now. Type YES if you think he's worth every penny. Or no if you think the team should look elsewhere and spend that money differently. And hey, while you're typing that in, take a second to think about this. If Bland walks, who's taking his place? That's not an easy fix. And speaking of replacements, let's shift gears now and talk about another area the Cowboys absolutely need to address, the wide receiver position. Let's dive in. Now let's flip the field and talk about the other side of the ball, offense. Because, let's be honest here, the Cowboys can't just sit back and hope CeeDee Lamb does it all by himself again. You and I both saw it. When defenses locked in on CeeDee, our offense stalled. That's not sustainable. If this team really wants to make a serious run, they need another weapon, a game changer, a wide receiver who can take the pressure off Lamb and force opposing defenses to pick their poison. So, what are the options? Well, free agency still has some intriguing names. Guys like Tyler Boyd, DJ Chark, and even a veteran like Michael Thomas could bring instant experience and production. Sure, each comes with some question marks, injuries, consistency. But if the price is right, they could give this offense a real boost. Then there's the NFL draft. And let me tell you, this year's wide receiver class is loaded. We're talking explosive talent. Guys like Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Worthy could all be available depending on where the Cowboys want to move. But here's the real question. Do you go for a polished veteran who's ready to contribute on day one? Or do you bet on a young, raw talent with a sky-high ceiling? There's a balance to strike here. Veterans give you reliability, but rookies bring upside and cheaper contracts. It all comes down to what kind of offense the Cowboys want to run moving forward. Will it be more conservative and run heavy with short passes? Or are they ready to go full throttle, spread the field, and push defenses vertically? And don't forget, this isn't just about Dak Prescott anymore. If there's even the slightest chance the front office is thinking about a quarterback transition in the near future, wouldn't it make sense to give that future QB the best weapons possible from day one? So let me ask you directly. If you could choose one wide receiver right now to join the Cowboys, who would it be? Drop the name in the comments. Let's turn this into a poll. Veteran or rookie? Big name or sleeper pick? Because the truth is, Dallas can't afford to sit still. The window is only open for so long. And while we're talking about movement, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes. Smaller signings, surprising exits, and quiet moves that deserve a second look. Let's get into that next. All right, let's shift gears and go through a few of the more subtle but important moves that have been happening with the Cowboys. You might have missed some of these, so let's break them down quickly. First off, Dak Prescott's contract is still drawing attention. Now, you probably know this already, but it's worth repeating. Dak's deal still surpasses Josh Allen's in terms of certain key metrics. Yeah, that's right. Even with the way the Bills' quarterback's been playing, Dak holds the edge in some important areas. It's a reminder of just how much pressure is on him, and how much faith the front office still has in him to get the job done. Then there's the offensive line. It's always an area of concern, right? Well, the Cowboys made a smart move by adding a veteran free agent to help shore up the depth. With the team looking to protect Dak and establish a more consistent running game, a solid depth piece in the O-line could make all the difference, especially as injuries inevitably pop up. Now for some bad news, and I know this one's going to sting. We lost a veteran defender to a rival in the NFC East. I don't know about you, but every time a player leaves for a division rival, it feels like a punch to the gut. That player is now going to suit up against us, and you can bet they'll have a little extra motivation when facing the Cowboys. And it doesn't end there. One of our former offensive starters has landed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, I'll admit, it's tough seeing him go, but that's the business of football. But hey, it's not all bad news. The Cowboys did make a positive move by retaining a key special teams player. We all know how critical those hidden yards are in games, so it's good to see they're keeping that unit intact. Lastly, Jourdan Lewis, the cornerback who's been a solid piece in the secondary, is heading to the Jaguars with a hefty new contract. That's another blow, especially after his steady contributions to the defense. So, let me ask you, which of these moves has you the most concerned? Losing a defender to a rival, the Olin move, or Jourdan Lewis leaving? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss it. And now, with all these moves and losses piling up, the big question remains. What's next? We'll talk about that in the final chapter. All right, here we are, the end of the line for today's roundup. But before we call it a day, let's take a step back and reflect on everything we've talked about. First off, we've seen the Cowboys start free agency with some surprising decisions. Yes, they've made a few moves, but for the most part, it's been a lot of sitting on the sidelines while other teams around the league seem to be going all in. So, what does that mean for Dallas? Well, if history has anything to say about it, it means more of the same. A slow-moving front office that seems content with a wait-and-see approach. But let's not give up hope just yet. There's still time for Jerry Jones and the front office to shake things up and show the fan base they're serious about making a Super Bowl run. The window for this team is open, but it won't be forever. If they're going to make a real push, they'll need to be aggressive in the coming weeks, whether it's through trades, draft picks, or more free agent signings. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Cowboys will surprise us, or are they just going to sit on their hands again? And if you were the GM, what would your next move be? This is your chance to make your voice heard. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to know where you stand. And before I go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on any future updates. We'll be here to keep you informed every step of the way. So, Cowboys Nation, it's all in your hands. What's next for this team? Let's see if the Cowboys can finally prove the doubters wrong and take that next step toward a championship.